Happy Friday, everybody. My name is Robert. This is my channel, Barter Hordes. I'm here to do a Friday Reads update for you. It'll probably be pretty brief this week. I just have two things that I want to go over. The first is that this is the first week of the read-alongs series that we started in May. I am reading, this week is from the 100 Essential Novels list, and the book that we're reading this week is Thomas Pynchon's The Crying of Lot 49. I'll put my reaction video to that novel up sometime Sunday, probably midday Sunday. And then next week on Monday, we start the reading from the 100 Great Books list, which is Frome by Edith Wharton. So if you're looking to get in on the second read-along, we start reading that on Monday. So it's always Monday through Saturday on the reading, and then I put my reaction video up on Sunday night, or Sunday during the day sometime. So that's where we are. As far as the reading wrap-up, it's been a weird week for me reading-wise because I'm the kind of reader who typically reads one book at a time. I feel like I lose momentum if I'm switching back and forth between or among several different books, and this week was kind of like that because I ended up reading 4 books at the same time, which never happens to me. 3 of them were novels, and one of them is a reference book that I've been dipping in and out of, so that one really doesn't count. But the first book I read this week was actually a buddy read that I did with Lia of Hyde Seek. I'll link her channel down below. And I'm not going to spend a great deal of time talking about this one because we have our buddy read video coming up pretty soon. But it was Hong Kong's The Vegetarian, and it is possibly the most baffling book I've ever read. I was thoroughly captivated through the first 2/3 of it. The final third of it lost me a little bit. The momentum just kind of faded away from me in the last bit. But I'm glad I read it. It's interesting. I'm, of course, very interested in Korean history and culture because of the historical novel project that I'm anxiously trying to get started with. But I think the writing is very good. I'm just not sure what to make of it overall, but our video will go into that in more detail. The second book that I read this week, I have 1 chapter left, and that is the one from the read-along, and that is The Crying of Lot 49 by Thomas Pynchon. And again, I don't want to say too much about that since I'm going to do a full video on that for Sunday. I have 1 chapter left, so I'm nearly done with that. I'll finish that one this evening. I think I've read this one before, but it's been a long, long time. It's since I was in my first year of my PhD program, which has been 100 years ago, and I didn't remember much of it. Either that or I've read one of his longer works that reminds me of this. And from what I understand from various reviews, that a lot of Pynchon's books will remind you of each other. So I'll save my full commentary on that until we get to the very end. So I'll do that on Sunday. The third book that I was reading this week was actually the one I started first, and that is Paul Lynch's Grace. It is the third of the 6 titles shortlisted for the Walter Scott Prize for historical fiction that I've read. I've read Manhattan Beach, I've read Miss Boston and Miss Hargreaves, and now I'm reading Grace. And the story, I'm not even quite halfway through with it yet. The story, very simply, is about Ireland in the years of the famine. And the story is about a young teenager named Grace, whose mother is pregnant with her 5th child, and they're already poor. The father comes back periodically, and apparently the father has started showing some unnatural interest in Grace. And so the mother basically kicks Grace out of the house and says, go find work. And she dresses her, she cuts off all her hair, she dresses her as a boy and says, you'll be able to find work, go work for a year and bring us back some money. And so Grace leaves the house, and she ends up leaving with her younger brother, who kind of sneaks away to be with her. And the book is Grace's journey heading south, hiding from people that she finds dangerous, trying to find work, trying to eat, trying to find food. And it's very much of an episodic type novel anyway, and reading it in kind of the fractured way I have lost momentum on this so many times, but I'm going to stick to it. It's a very lyrical book. Paul Lynch writes in an unusual way, and I think that slowed me down a little bit as well, because sometimes he'll write a sentence that you just have to read 2 or 3 times before you really understand what you think he's saying. Some of it is very funny because Grace and her brother are so sarcastic and so funny, but they're also very naive and innocent about the world that they live in and the superstitions that dominate their culture and the economics of their culture. So it's an interesting book. I don't think it's going to be among my favorites of the 3 that I've already read. I don't think I would pick it as my winner of the prize, but I still have 3 more to read after this. And so I'm anxiously looking forward to the other 3. I still haven't found the one that I think is prize-worthy yet. And it may be that I read all 6 and don't think any of them is prize-worthy, because they've all been roughly about the same in my estimation. The one that a lot of people have been kind of regretting seeing on this list is Manhattan Beach, but of the 3 that I've read, it's probably the one that I've enjoyed the most. Whether that's prize-worthy or not, it's probably a different question. So anyway, I am halfway through that one. I will try to finish it this week. I'd like to start fresh with Ethan Frome on Monday for the read-along. So that's what I've been reading. If you've read any of these, please let me know what you think. You'll be hearing about 2 of them in further detail from me soon. And then I may mention Grace again if my reading perception of it changes drastically over the second half of the book. I may mention it again next week, or I may just start fresh next week. I hope you're having a great week. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again on Sunday with the first of the reaction videos on the read-alongs. Until then, bye.